So in this course, which is called Building Psychological Immunity in a Time of Trauma, I go through essentially what is trauma, what do people suffer from, and how do they suffer from trauma, how do we build the immunity towards trauma and thrive in difficult times, and also how do we support others, which is really important. Just flick through a few slides for you, looking at some grounding exercises, some definitions of trauma by some key people, from trauma therapists to the Royal College of Psychiatrists. What else? An organismic view of trauma. Really, how does the organism of ourselves travel through the icy waters of life, and when we hit an iceberg, that creates a hole, and then what happens after that? The water's let in, the icy water's let in, but actually we can't let that let the ship go down, so we've got to freeze it over. So trauma as an organismic view is essentially injury, psychological injury, and then freezing over, and we can't access that. So going on to look at Janina Fisher's idea of trauma, and going on with normal life. What else? Brain systems, how the trauma affects the brain, how it's accessible or not accessible, different parts of the brain. We'll go into that quite significantly. And then trauma is memory, symptoms and coping. And this relates to all of our pasts. Flick through quickly. Using liberating structures to engage the group, maybe using some quiz type stuff for memory, and using my systems of movement and structure to support people. Referring to the NHS literature, referring to ACEs, which are quite widespread at the moment. Looking at the vicarious nature of trauma as it crosses boundaries over time and between organisms. More quiz, and then going into caring for self, caring for others, looking at psychological safety, reflective culture, using more liberating structures for that. What else do we look at? Breaking the stress response, Dr. Joe Dispenza's idea of that, stimulating the vagus nerve, parasympathetic rest and digest, some guided exercises around breathing that come from CRM, CAT's comprehensive resource model, trauma therapy, Theory U by Otto Scharmer, which is about the self, the other and nature and our divides, and also how do we bridge those divides through using open mind, open heart and open will. And then more liberating structures, boom, 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 there we go. Looking at psychological safety and engaging the group through that. Bit of reflective culture work and some work on compassion. This is a slide from Dr. Gordon Barclay, who is a psychiatrist from Glasgow, just thinking about the nature of how trauma and how what affects us in the past, different parts of us, and how we can negotiate our way through that using understanding and compassion. And then on to some visualizing, which uses visualizing in space and nature and attachment objects, like maybe a power animal or a spirit object, or an object from nature, which is quite useful. So that's essentially the whistle-stop tour of this course, and it is available from myself, delivered on a one-day course. And if you'd like to get in contact to talk about delivering that within your organisation, then please do. I would be more than happy to talk it through. Okay, cheers.